Hi, and if you are tuning in for the very first time, I am Retro Bear, and this is our little corner of YouTube, where I regularly show you my wares I've purchased from local sustainable sources, i.e. charity shops and second-hand shops. Also gameplay videos and going through my collections, showing you exactly what's in there, what I have, and basically being rather proud of it all. If you are tuning in for the first time, please don't be afraid to subscribe, like, ring the bell and tell people about it, and also leave a comment below, and we hope very much that you come back and enjoy further videos that I'll do in the future. Also plenty of material on the channel to check going back to start this year. Have a peruse through those and see what you think. If you are coming back, hello, how are you? Nice to see you again. And hopefully you'll all stick around and see what we have this week. Now, bit of a strange old week. Didn't get a chance to do any pickups last week, as you would have seen in the previous video. And this week, very little opportunity to do exactly the same thing as well. Leave that over there. Yeah, it's been a tricky time, and especially with Christmas coming, wherever you are in the world, it's the same and different for wherever you go. Yes, I'm not having a lot of time to do what I want to do this week. For example, what you're about to see has come from one brief trip out on Sunday, which would be the 2nd of December, and almost thwarted before I started because I went into my first, my local CEX shop and found out that they weren't opening because they'd been broken into the previous night. I couldn't see much damage. Evidently they must have broken back in and put all the stuff back on the shelves for me to pick up and go in, because basically a lot of it was worthless. No, I'm joking apart. Obviously we don't like to hear about things like that. So hopefully, if you do recognise me, do work down there, I hope everything was okay. So I've only had an opportunity to pop to one shopping centre this weekend, and again I'm at the mercy of the high street. But I think, as always, the veritable smorgasbord of the wild, the wacky, the weird and the wonderful, and more importantly the incredibly cheap, because that's really what the motto is. Why do we buy this stuff? Because it's cheap. So as a bit of something for everybody this week, slim pickings really, but I don't know, there's some good stuff in here. Let's start off with PlayStation 2, shall we? So we have here first Alpine Skiing 2005. Now I did say a few weeks ago I wasn't going to buy any sports games in these little roundups that I do, although I did think at some point I'm going to end up doing just one video where I go around buying endless copies of FIFA just to fill the gaps in my collections. Whether I do or not, I don't know. I quite like skiing games. I played one on the Xbox many years ago. I can't remember what it was called now. I was playing a not an original copy of it. It was rather exciting. It was Helmut Hoflehner's downhill skiing or something like that. I don't know. Those of you who know your downhill skiing will know who Helmut Hoflehner is. Those of you who don't know, you obviously weren't watching Grandstand back in the early 90s, were you? So that was 50p, I think. One I hadn't seen before or heard about, which is Scalar. Again, obviously can't be that well renowned because it cost me 75p, and a really knackered looking manual on this one. One of the worst manuals I think I've actually seen. Someone's actually tried to eat the top corner there, you can see, and I've obviously had a nibble at the bottom just to see what it was like. Is it one of these cases where I think, oh right, yeah, the disc is pretty worn as well, but it works. That was 75p, and this is all from CEX. And then just to round off the really sort of horrible games, Sky Surfer, which I haven't seen before, and reading the blurb from the back, it says you're a sky surfer and you want to be the best, so face the challenge and don't you forget the classic rule, don't look down. I thought that was the idea, because if you didn't look down, where the hell would you know where you're going to land, you know? It doesn't sound particularly promising. Superb graphics and cool soundtrack, which technically means not very good graphics and a soundtrack that's equally forgettable. I don't know. Is there actually a reference to what sort of soundtrack there is on it? Because sometimes you find licensed tracks, don't you? Usually I do this stuff beforehand and wow you with it. No, it doesn't tell me. So there we go. I will debate that until we actually play it. 4 different characters, 4 skyboards in 3 locations, and 3 different game modes. It doesn't, and 13 stunning moves. Not a lot there for the sky surfing purist, I would probably imagine. and not really an awful lot there for anybody else. Yeah, so that was 50p as well. That's the big spenders. One game for the Wii this week. My goodness me, that Wii collection is stalled dramatically. It really has done. That's what happens when you mop up all the cheap games, because they sort of disappear. There are still some I haven't got, but the majority of those now, I think, cover pretty much most of the cheap ones. We've got over 520, nearly 520 now. So I'm not sure what left's out there, but I'm probably about halfway, just under halfway through. Maybe a little bit more to go. Got to try and find some more from somewhere, because I started sort of going on with the Wii and forgot everything else, and then I got sidetracked with collecting for the Xbox, the original, and then the PlayStation 3, which is not far behind that in terms of the number of games I've got. So we'll have to see. So one game this week for the Wii, which is Excite Truck. Now this is different to Excite Bots. That's a game which if you're watching in America, you got and we didn't. So yeah, but nice looking one on the inside. That one. I don't think I showed the inside of Sky Surfer, did I? No, there we go, Sky Surfer. There we go. That was 150, which is more than I like to pay for a game, but because I then went and found that one for 50p, so that technically means two games for at a pound each. There is a method to the madness. If you go back through the videos, you'll see why. The only go we go this week. Couple of Xbox originals before we then move on to the other stuff, which is Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith, featuring actual footage from the film. Now I saw that film when it first came out. That's an interesting one. I've done that one before, have I? I saw that when it first came out on the again, not through official channels, and then went to see it in the cinema. I've not done that very often. Might actually maybe one of the last 5 times I went to the cinema in 2000 and fast asleep. I've already got that on PlayStation 2, but I haven't got an Xbox, and if you're watching ITV this past weekend over in the UK, that was on, so it's quite topical. Alright, and then because I was buying games based on films, Minority Report, Everybody Runs, including the person who had this, because I've actually swapped the box around because it was damaged, and more importantly, you didn't actually leave the flaming manual inside, did you? So that's the inside of it. And someone's also written in red pen some sort of ancient Egyptian symbol, which probably means no manual, and that's the back of it as well. I think I've already got this at PlayStation 2. It was missing from the collection. I wasn't a fan of the film, so not particularly excited. So all those 6 came from CEX, and the grand total spent £4.70-ish. It's a bit more than I like to spend on. Was it £4.75? I think it was for those 6 games. And now the rest is all focused on our friendly Xbox 360. I nearly bought some PlayStation 3 games, but I was standing in the queue. Quite funny. I bought the next 9 games you are going to see came from Game, because they're still doing 3 for 2. And I was about to buy 3 PlayStation 3 games, and by the time I got to the checkout, before I got to the checkout, I actually swapped out those 3 PlayStation 3 games for 3 more Xbox 360 ones. The 3 PlayStation 3 games left on the shelf were The Darkness, which is not a film about the band, Dark Void, which I wasn't particularly interested in getting anyway, and NFL Tour, which I didn't want to buy because I wanted to buy any sports games. And they were all £1 each, so I put those down and changed them over for 3 games on the 360, which I don't think I did too badly on. I also went to 2 different branches of Game in the same shopping centre. I thought they stopped doing that after they went into administration for the 12th time. Ugh, God, that you could just hear the crack there. This label, which I'm going to get to in a minute. There we go. So a bit of a Tom Clancy special. First of all, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Conviction, the Shadow Edition. The Shadow Edition obviously has an invisible manual, which you can't see there. Xbox 360 game, best Xbox 360 game, and best action adventure game, as voted for by the winners, by the readers, the readers of Empire magazine, which I understand is a film magazine. So I don't know. That was 99p. 99p. I've got loads of Tom Clancy games, but I remember playing Rainbow Six, which is a bit of a controversial title on the new PlayStation Classic, from what I understand from one very renowned YouTuber who seems to think that putting Rainbow Six on there was a terrible idea. He also seems to think that having PAL games on there is a terrible idea as well. But he's still going to buy it because he has to review it for you guys out there. Whatever. You may know I'm talking about. You can find it. Tom Clancy's special continues with the Ghost Recon Future Soldier. signature edition, and also it's better with Connect apparently. This one does have bits and pieces in there. It also has the code for play passports and all that, which I like to see. If you've watched previously, I like to see bump inside the boxes. It shows that people have actually looked after these things, although just played it once and chucked it in there. And there's a flipping label stuck on the back of it. Oh god. There we go. Who'd have thought peeling labels off would become an internet sensation? There we go. Back of the box. Again, 99 of my English pence. Thank you very much. And then possibly the game I was looking forward to playing the most, which I'll get to in a second, was U-Star 2 in the movies. Which I understand is a game where there are 80 cinematic clips of varying length in here, where you are able to immerse yourself into the role of somebody in there, and basically you can either speak the lines or you can improvise. It doesn't work unless you have a decent green screen. Now you might be able just to see sort of down there. There we go, below the tin, which has got cables in it, is a green screen. So I'm going to try it with that, because apparently if you've got a green screen and also there's something else as well, it works a bit better. It might not be brilliant, but just some of the films that you can sort of take part in: American Pie, Animal House, Apollo 13, Beverly Hills Cop, Blues Brothers, Coming to America, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Forrest Gump, Gladiator, I Am Legend, Kick-Ass, King Kong, Meet the Parents, Nutty Professor, Rocky, Scarface. There's a lot of good films on there. I think there's a facility to download more clips. I don't know whether that's works. But what I'm really unhappy with, because when I bought these in the One Branch again, I think the lady behind the till who served me actually said, oh, the box on this one is really broken, and it was actually cracked across the top. I didn't see it. And she said, well, I can swap you out for a new one. I said, great, fantastic. This one here, as you can see, has got one of these horrible sort of, you may not be able to see because of the bloody glare, but there we go, cash converters label stuck on there. Someone, you can just see bits of crap sticking up there. Can you see that on there, the end? See there, there's a bit of this crap across there. Someone's tried to eat it round the back here, and there's a great big sticky label. This is not the box that was on the shelf. This is the box that was in the thing behind the counter. And I know it wasn't, because on the back of the box that was in the shop, on the shelf, was a white label there, so I couldn't read all the films that were on it. So, having wowed me with her wonderful customer service on that one, screwed me over on that one. You know, should be £700 paying £1 for these? I don't know. But I like to have a bit of pride in the boxes that I have. Some boxes you've just got to accept, and if you see something there that you want desperately badly, you'll get it, and then you'll go and buy, you know, as I used to do, buy lots of Wii Fit copies and just swap the boxes out. Bet it was a nice box for a Wii Fit, I'll buy that at 50p and swap the Wii ones out when I first started collecting them. You know, should I have to do things like that? Should I trust salespeople better? I don't know. I could physically go and buy another copy of that for the same price, even less possibly, and get a better box for it. Just disappointed. Poor customer service. You know, really disappointing. And then other games in game from another branch. So those were 3 for 2, so they cost me £1.98, which is probably about what you'd expect to pay for them. 66p each, not too bad. What have we got here then? I'm going to try and remember how much I spent on these now. Those two were a bit more expensive. That one was a cheap one. There we go. So, Zumba Fitness. Join the party, because it requires Connect, as you may have seen. You may not know, I've already bought Connect a few weeks ago. I still haven't played it yet. It's actually like a really nice copy. I've got this for the Wii, which you can just sort of see there and that way. There we go. Zumba 1 there, Zumba 2 next to it as well. But you don't, with that one you have to wear a belt and the Wii remote there, and it's a bit complicated, and that means I played it, hasn't it? I'm imagining I played this. You don't need that for this, it works on Connect, I don't know. And more importantly, I'm thrilled to say it features some of my favourite Zumba instructors even. That's what it says in the back here. Gina, Tanya and Beto. Well, there you go. I'm glad I bought this now. Yeah, that was 99p. Move on from that one. We're having a bit of Tom Clancy tribute weekend. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas, which I remember playing the PlayStation 3 and not being particularly excited about. And there's another flaming label. Oh dear me. See, if I did proper editing, you'd miss all this excitement, wouldn't you? Peeling labels off. Did notice that on there as well, which you said it's enhanced for the plays on the Xbox One, so you get a specially enhanced version of it. Surprisingly enough, that was 99p as well. Why is it that things like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 now sort of command sort of between 15 and 20 quid second hand, where a few months ago you could have gone on for a couple of quid, because they're now backwards compatible on the Xbox One. No manual with this one. That's the back of it. It's a really old game, this one, but I didn't particularly enjoy it to start with. Played on PlayStation 3, but it was £1. And finally, Eat Lead, the return of Matt Hazard, featuring the voices of Will Arnett and Neil Patrick Harris. And I must admit, I didn't even think about this game twice, other than the fact that it was 99p. I tend not to look at the boxes now and the titles. I tend to look at how much does it cost in the top corner. And it says get ready for the return of the most popular video game hero of the 1980s. Matt Hazard is staging his comeback against all his retro enemies in a hilarious parody of the last 25 years of gaming. So I'm actually quite thrilled and now slightly excited to play that. I was a bit concerned about that there. That actually is bullet holes. And that was 99p. So, and again, there's another label on the back. You must swear I've only peel the label. There's a great big dirt pile behind it. Goodness me. So that was 99p. So again, those three there for £1.98. And then the other three I picked up as well in the same shop was Crackdown, which I'm told on the front here is absolutely an absolute riot and brilliant and a must buy. And you can play it in 60 megahertz as well. And interesting story, while I was stood in game, there was an advert behind the counter for Crackdown 3. So obviously it must be a decent series. So you can tell once you play modern gaming. And I say modern games, it's about what, 7 or 8 years old. Oh yeah, I'm quite annoyed. It's the classics version as well, as you can see, not the original disc. But it did come with the map, which is always good to see. I did leave Crackdown 2 on the shelf because I wasn't quite sure how this one would play. But this cost me £1. That one was slightly more expensively priced at £1.99. Oh, the last of the big spenders. Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, so looking forward to playing that one. Brink, which was 49p. I've already picked this up on PlayStation 3 and I still haven't played it yet. And then finally, because the name of the channel is Retro Bear, that's what I refer to myself as, a remake of an old game, Bionic Commando, which, unless you were around sort of in about 1987, would have no idea what Bionic Commando was. And having played this on the PlayStation 3, I wasn't distinctly impressed by it. I think it's very much a game of its time. I'll go back and revisit this one, but having played the original on the Commodore 64 and also the Amiga, I'll be interested to see how that plays. That was $149. So yeah, I've got 15 games this week for, try and hold those up, 15 games for 11 quid, which, yeah, I don't know, there's some good games in there. If I'm going to sort of say that the game I would have been most happy with this weekend would have been New Star 2, because I'm a sad, pathetic individual. But having said that, I honestly think that I'm going to go with Crackdown, probably as my pick of the week, because it's got the map inside it, closely followed by Eat Lead, because I'm not quite sure how that's going to play out, but it does sound really interesting. Yeah, so that's it for this week. Now, the good thing is I might be able to get out once more before Christmas. I'm not planning on doing too much until then, simply because I'm not going to have a lot of time. I'm still working right up till Christmas, and I've got some time off after Christmas into New Year, so I might do some moving around in there. I've still got some collection videos to try and post up and try and do some things. I'm also maybe trying to do some a bit of a thing about, some people sort of made inquiries about the singing and dancing games I've got on, whether I'll do anything special like that for Christmas, providing I can remember how to connect the systems up that have those games on there to the computer. I may or may not be able to do those. I'd like to do them. They might be a New Year special, we'll have to see anyway. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you very much for watching. If you have tuned in for the first time, please come back. If you haven't tuned in for the first time and you've stumbled upon this channel because there's really nothing else to do, thank you very much for watching. If you're watching this because you can't sleep, I hope I've sent you to sleep and you had a very pleasant dream. And And yes, there we go. I've run out of things to say. I'm going. Thank you very much for watching. We shall see you again very, very soon. Take care for now. Keep gaming. Yeah, stay safe out there.